in this house, that kind of thing. God forbid, I bind it and cast it. But then it's happening. You know the thing that happened in over the last few decades about pastors' children. They say, oh, PK. I know PK, they don't turn out well now. They're always bad. They're always pastors' children, of course, you know why PKs turned out the way they did, or some of them, in fact, why they turn out the way they do, because while you are going around minding other people, your own first constituency is rotting away. And so that, of course, underscores the importance of being on ground. All right. And so the first thing is you need to look well. You really have to look well. You must not be deluded. We can't afford to be, and we can't afford to be in denial, because another thing that I know happens is you see it, but you're just in denial. You don't want to believe that my own children are like this, or my children are doing this. And so you just say, no, it can't be happening, but it's actually happening. And then before we even know what's happening, before we're able to really do anything about it, time has gone. And so we must, when we look, whatever we find, let's be realistic about it. You see, they say that whenever a man wakes up, is his morning. So if today is when you are finding out, then you can start to do something about it today. It's as simple as that. Yeah. And so for many of us, for many of us who did a lot of things that our parents didn't notice, or they don't know anything about, and all of that, in talking about the person that you must become, you must also be really well informed and abreast of these things. You can't be pretending that you don't know that children that 7 years olds or 9 years olds smoke. You can't do as if you don't know that children who are 2 years old get abused. You say, she's still a small girl and she's 3. What does she know? Oh, she's still a small girl. She's 7 now. And then, there's a child who's actually already addicted to pornography, but the parents just feels like they're a child. I used to wear pants when I was her age. Like I said, the world that you grew up in actually no longer exists. And so you must make sure that you are rolling with the times, that you are changing with the times. The way the times are dynamic is how you must also be as a parent. The battle is real. It's serious business. And of course, when these things start, they start really subtly. It starts little. It's the first puff of cigarettes, the first whiff of whatever drug it is. It's, I tried it. I came back home. Nobody noticed. I went out longer than the usual hours. Nobody noticed. I'm not accountable to anyone. There's no one who's asking questions. And then that liberty, that thrill is how it continues. And so we just have to, keep looking. Then we should look out for the signs. There are always signs, the way we say it, there are always signs. It just doesn't happen that your child is just, has been abused, or now is really, 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 really sexually active, or now is doing drugs, and then just happened that one day the child became like that. No, it starts really little, and then sometimes it's not even, parents cannot be blamed, but for how it happened. But then you can notice it. You will notice. There will be signs. There will be hints that there's something that has happened to this child, and so we must be very observant as parents. And of course, we must also be equipped. We must be equipped. You know how sometimes parents will pretend like they know when they actually don't know, and then you're talking to your child, but you're really obsolete. You can't connect with the child. You are saying things that are no longer relevant, and so you're unable to help your child. And so one thing, my people perish for lack of knowledge. If there's anything that you must get as a parent, it's knowledge. It's knowledge. If you need to go and enroll for a course, if you need to go and enlist the help of a professional, whatever you need to do, but you must do it. You must become whatever it is that you need to do. You have to do it. You know how the Bible says that you should be alert and sober minded. Be alert and sober minded, because the devil is just going around and around and around, is looking for who to devour. So that's the exact thing I'm talking to you about now. You can't afford not to know. You can't afford to. I'm not aware. You know, it really is not. It's not an excuse. And so for children who have started to go through abuse, or who are starting to get addicted or get exposed to drugs and all of that, you will see signs like they are withdrawing. Your child who was originally really jolly and boisterous becomes quiet or withdrawn. They are refusing to interact with a particular person or go through a particular activity that they would otherwise like. Then you want to dig deep. You want to dig deep. Like I said, the signs are usually there. Sometimes the child is just really irritable, wants to, just wants to be, just wants to be alone and all of that. And sometimes abuse starts as a response to emotional neglect. You see, where your children want you, but you're not there, and there's someone who's around, or there's just a lot of time. There was someone who I was in conversation with, and of course, the child is a teenager, but she was already doing drugs, and she had been sent out of 3 different schools at 15 because of drugs. You know, she's changed. She changes to this school, and then in the new school they catch her again with drugs. They send her away. They will enroll her in another school, and then the final school said, "Okay, let her just go away and let her just come and write her WAEC." And we're now wondering, how did we get here? But then in our conversation, I found out that the parents are usually not around, but there's a driver and a nanny, a caregiver who's attached to the child. Then the child has a heavily funded ATM card, so she can go wherever she wants. All she needs to do is tell the nanny where she's going, and then the driver drives her. The driver remains in the car. So nobody knows what she's doing wherever she goes, and she has enough money. And so you have taken her around 3 schools, but she still has that ATM card with her. She still has the driver that takes her around to a place where she just says she wants to go to. And so I'm wondering, are we actually serious here? And while it seems like something really far-fetched, is what a lot of us do. It's maybe not in this measure, but in different measures. There was also this child who had been into drugs and then went to rehab, was okay. Parents took him to rehab, became good, clean, and all of that. And then 2 months they were back. What happened? Not 2 weeks, I'm sorry, they were back. What happened? The father said, I just give him 100K, like if he wants suya. So you're bringing your child who was addicted to drugs back from rehab, then you give him 100K, like in case he wants to eat suya. And of course, he goes back to buy drugs. And so we cannot, the mindfulness has to be there. We have to be really mindful. And I know that the world gets really busy, but we still have to really, really be sober and mindful. Another thing that helps is, before you begin to correct, you must connect. You must build connection before correction. The emotional safety of children is really important, and it must be built in the younger years. Can it still not be built even when they are older? Yes, but it takes a lot more effort. Your children, and that's the thing, you must maintain discipline and friendships at the same time, you see. So it's not that, oh, we are just friends, and then you really think that your children are like your adult friends, but then it's not, I'm just your parent, and then there's no friendship. So that balance, that emotional safety has to be cultured. You must build connection before you begin to correct, because if you're, oh, this person has my back, this person can be trusted. For many of us, the way we fail is that your children cannot confide in you. Your friends will hear it. your family members will hear it, you will tell it as a joke. It's small. It was when your child was 3 years old or 4 years old, told you something, or was vulnerable with you, and then you made it into a joke. And so the child learns that, oh, I cannot trust this person. And that's really dangerous. And so when the more serious life matters happen, like, so the first time someone showed a substance to the child, the child asks questions to ask, but just cannot ask the parents because, well, you can't be trusted. In fact, you will just say, I heard Apostle Femi Lazarus saying your child tries to open up to you, and the first thing the child says, you are saying, Kilele, like, you know, you are already startled, and then there's still a lot to say. So I need to round off now. Another thing that we must do for our children is identity. First, like I said, who are we in our home? Who are we? What kind of family are we? And then you pump it into them so much that it's hard to become another person. Because if you don't know who you are, you become anybody. But even that, how your parents will tell you, remember the son of who you are. When you say remember, the child cannot be wondering, who the son of who am I? The child has to know. You have to just have an identity, and all of that. And of course, identity and conviction. So you need to pump it into them from when they are young. And if your children are not young, it's still not too late to do that. Then you have to monitor ruthlessly. Be ruthless when it comes to monitoring. Am I saying become a, what do we call that in familiar spirit? No, but you must put structures in place to be able to monitor your children. Of course, you have to create a very strong spiritual culture. What is our spiritual culture in this house? What do we do? It's not that just that religious impossible one, where you say we wake up at 5 o'clock. You can do that in the earlier years because you want to build discipline. But even you know that you don't wake up every day at 5 o'clock to pray. And so you must build a really realistic culture, a really realistic spiritual culture, so that it doesn't become boring or it becomes some kind of chore to your children where they just good morning Jesus because you want them to. And so these are the things that we must do really, 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 really mindfully. And so what can our action plan be? This is a template that we may just decide to adopt. Okay, so you may just have a weekly art check conversation with your child and make it a serious time. You go on a date. I'm not saying outside your home, it's just a heart-to-heart conversation with your child where you are checking in. You also want to encourage your child to be vulnerable by also sharing your own. So it's easier for me to connect with you if I see that you want to connect with me. So I can share my struggles with you if you share yours with me, or if you tell me how you had also struggled before, and then you were able to overcome what you struggled with. You want to do, retreats, you want to do audits. How many people have you been with? How many friends, and all of that and all of that. You want to bless your children, you want to pray over them, and do all of that. We must be present parents, prayerful parents, and prepared parents, most importantly. Remember that your children are not just children, they are kingdom ambassadors. They are ambassadors for your own family. As you are raising your children, you are raising your grandchildren, you are raising your great-grandchildren, you're raising what will be passed down through generations, and you really, 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 really have to be mindful. So I'll stop here. I know that I think I have overshot my time, and then perhaps when it's questions and answers time or when it's prayer time, then I can do more. Thank you very much for listening to me.